Welcome to my long-awaited one and done eyeshadow video, or alternatively titled, just my favorite eyeshadows. I'm a one and done kind of girl, you guys know that. I like my eyeshadow to look like I put more effort into it than I did. So whether you're looking for eyeshadows that help cut down on the amount of time you have to spend on your makeup, or you're on a budget and you just don't want to be buying a lot of products, this video is for you. Lastly, these are all based on my complexion, but you can take the general principles of a one and done eyeshadow and apply it to whatever your specific skin tone is. For example, for me, a one and done eyeshadow is not going to be something that is super light and bright like a champagne shadow, neither something that's going to be really dark and smoky. I applied every single shadow on my eyes. Now my eyes are stinging like a bitch, so let's get into it. I had to start with a tried and true favorite, and it's the L'Oreal Infallible Eyeshadow in Amber Rush. This is just the most perfect, my skin but better kind of color on me. It's this beautiful rosy tan that has a gorgeous metallic finish, but it's nothing that's glittery or chunky, so it's very office appropriate. If you put this in luxury packaging, it would pass for me as a luxury eyeshadow, no doubt about it. The formula is so smooth, somewhat sheer at first, but totally buildable. There's zero fallout, it's super user-friendly, and you can get it pretty much anywhere at the drugstore. If you are a fan of the Kosas liquid eyeshadow in the shade Globe that they now have reformulated, this is almost an exact color dupe. So keep that in mind if you've been looking to replace Globe. It's just this stunning mix of champagne, tan, and a little bit of rosiness that I find so incredibly flattering. And of course, if this shade doesn't work for you, L'Oreal does have a bunch of others that you can choose from. The next one is this Dior eyeshadow in the shade 658 Beige Mitzah. You heard that right. It's not mitzvah, it's mitzah. A lot of people get confused over that. And it's an absolutely stunning eyeshadow that is the powder version of Charlotte Tilbury's Oyster Pearl. So in some lights, it looks a little bit cool toned and there's a little bit of a taupiness to it. In other lights, there's a little bit more of like a sheen of a very fine gold shimmer, so it can look a little bit more warm and a little bit more bronzy in other lights. The formula is smooth and buttery, and it has a very nice soft satin finish, so I think a lot of people would really love this, and it's a very special, very unique shade. The formula is such a dream. I just love how kind of soft and satiny it looks. It feels very luxurious. There's never any fallout, and it's just perfectly smooth and never patchy. When I think of a one and done eyeshadow that does everything I need it to do, when I think of a one and done shadow that should do everything that a one and done shadow should do, it's MAC Woodwinked, no question. Because this looks like several different shadows when you apply it all over the eye. You can see that when I apply it on the lid and then into the crease, it almost looks like there's a darker shade in my crease, but it's really just because this formula is like just so multi-dimensional. I love this all over the lid, into the crease, and on the lower lash line for the most beautiful bronze in the summertime. It's just one of my favorites with a lot of bronzer piled up, a lot of mascara, and like a glossy nude lip. Nothing beats this as a one and done. Woodwinked is a classic for a reason. It looks great on everyone. It looks so multi-dimensional. It's just never gonna go out of style. It's that good. If you're looking for a one and done that's a little bit more smoky, I think the MAC Extra Dimension eyeshadow in Amorous Alloy is where it's at. The name's a little confusing. It's called Extra Dimension, which you think would be like metallic and glittery and everything like that, but it's actually just kind of a nice satin finish. But the red undertone of this brown shade is just magical. I did apply it quite heavily today so you could see what it looks like fully built up, but just on that one first swipe, you can see it can be a perfect sheer kind of warm brown to warm up any complexion, make you look like you have a little bit of like an effortless kind of, I don't know, bedhead smoky eye. I think this is such a sexy shadow because of that red undertone, and it never makes me look like sick or ill like some kind of super red undertones can make me look. This one is just a perfect balance between brown and red. And when it's worn all over the eye into the lower lash line, I think it makes for the best one and done smoky eyeshadow. Next up, I have the Chantecaille Luminescent Eye Shade in Golden Copper or Lion. It's an intense yellowy bronze, and the formula almost has two different finishes. On one hand, it's kind of this metallic powder finish that feels almost like a cross between a powder and a gel. And then there's just a layer of fine glitter on top. So you get this one and done shadow that looks like you're wearing a metallic and then a glitter topper, when in reality, you're just wearing one eyeshadow. And the glitter particles aren't too chunky and there isn't too much fallout that I can't wear it on my lower lash line. I think this looks beautiful blended on the lower lash line. It's that perfect summer golden bronze, and I think it looks amazing on everybody. It's the kind of eyeshadow you can apply with your fingers, you can apply with a brush, feels super luxurious. I just think that Chantecaille really knocked it out of the park with this formula. Similar color, this is the Wander Beauty Double Date Eyeshadow Duo in Smitten and Swoon. On the bottom, you have this cream shadow that's just a very soft bronze. I love wearing this one on its own as a one and done because it's a little bit more sheer. And then the shadow on top is this beautiful golden bronze metallic foiled finish. You can use the top as a one and done on its own as well, but I just love layering the two because it is just one product, so I'm counting it as a one and done. It's just amazing if you want a very impactful kind of foiled look with a lot of dimension from just one product. And it's the kind of product that I just use with my fingers, and that makes it even easier. If you want something a little bit deeper, the Wander Beauty Eyeshadow Duo in First Kiss and I Love You So Much is also equally stunning. The bottom shadow, I Love You So Much, is this stunning medium warm matte brown cream, which looks fantastic all over the eyes or as an eyeshadow base if you wanna like increase the opacity of a shadow on top, but then you get this beautiful gold foiled metallic, again, that you can use on its own or layer on top of the cream. It has creased on me a little bit sometimes, but really not nearly to the extent that I thought it would. I just think that these are a very underrated product from Wander Beauty, and not enough people are talking about them. Oh, one of my favorites. God, I love this. ColourPop Super Shock Shadow in a little Quarky. They just brought this back, so I'm hoping it's still available on their website. It's essentially a metallic golden bronze base with blue glitter on top. When that blue hits the light, you just get this magic reflection on the eyes. And so for me, I love wearing it as a one and done because I just think it's so impactful and so kind of shimmery without needing any kind of real chunky glitter. I never have any issues with fallout with this, and I can just apply it with a finger, no problem. My second favorite way of wearing this is actually over a kind of medium warm brown shade, and then just a pop of that kind of bronzy blue on top. I just think that A Little Quarky is the best Super Shock shadow from ColourPop, and it just elevates any eye look because it's so beautiful and so easy to use. My second favorite ColourPop Super Shock shadow is Cosmic Charge. I don't know that this is available on the website. I'll try to link something below if people are selling it on eBay or something. You know how ColourPop is. They tend to discontinue products that are awesome. This is more of an olivey antiqued bronze on the base, but with blue and silver glitter on top. With one swipe, you get just a very sheer wash of like an almost peachy bronze with that silver and blue glitter, and it looks absolutely stunning when it's applied really sheerly. But when you build it up, that kind of antiqued olivey bronze really starts showing through, and it can be almost like a really cool metallic smoky eye. So this one definitely is really versatile, and I think it's super underrated. My most worn one and done eyeshadow is definitely the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize in Oyster Pearl. Mine still says Marie Antoinette on it, and then they renamed it to Oyster Pearl. It is this very special sort of antiqued bronze that is a little bit cool toned in some lights, a little bit bronzy and warm in other lights. If you apply it really sheerly, it looks a little bit more warm and sheer and peachy. If you build it up, it looks a little bit more of that like antiqued olivey bronze that flashes cool toned and sometimes flashes a little bit warmer. This formula is such a dream to apply. It has this beautiful sort of satin finish. After like an 8 or 9 hour workday, they will have definitely like faded from my eyes, but not in a way that looks messy, just in a way that looks like it faded and wore away, which I don't mind at all. You can blend this with your fingers or a brush. It's really user-friendly, and I think that this is definitely the most special shade from the range. My other favorite Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize is the shade Betty, which I think they now renamed as Antique Gold. I'll leave the correct name in the description box because mine still says Betty, but it's a stunning warm golden bronze, and it's just incredible for summer. This is the kind of shade that I think looks good on everybody, so it's definitely one of my favorites, and you can see I've used it a lot. A newer one to my collection is the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize in Pillow Talk. Since it's that iconic Pillow Talk shade from Charlotte Tilbury, it definitely has that kind of rose mauve quality to it with a little bit of brown, and on the eyes, I think it looks so beautiful. There's a little bit of pink, which makes it nice and soft and romantic. It's a little bit brown, so it looks really wearable. I really don't hear enough people talk about this shade in particular from the Eyes to Mesmerize range, and I find this color to be unique compared to the rest of the products. You know, in a sea of like bronzes and rosy tans and browns, I think that this sort of soft, pinky, mauvey brown really stands out. For those of you who aren't afraid to put glitter all over your eyes, the Chanel eyeshadow in New Moon is beautiful. It's basically like a very, very, very sheer mauvey taupe as the base with a ton of silver and multicolored glitter on top. I do prefer wearing it just with like a touch of a matte shadow in the crease and then this on the lid, but you can totally wear this as a one and done if you're not afraid of glitter. It's beautifully reflective. It's got really nice scattered glitter particles. So fun for a night out, and I think the shade is somewhat unique compared to what I've seen from a lot of other brands. Next, we have the Phytosurgence Flash Fluorescence Eyeshadow in Defiant Dahlia. This is a really nice taupe shadow with a lot of silver glitter on top. The formula is a little bit difficult to describe. It's kind of like if you've ever tried those Maybelline color tattoos, it feels very similar to those, except these have a bunch of glitter mixed in with them that I find to make the look a lot more dimensional than the old Maybelline color tattoos. I love that these have a lot of glitter in them, but it doesn't look like a glitter bomb on the eyes. It's quite subtle, but it does make it look like you're wearing multiple eyeshadows instead of just one. The rest of the Flash Fluorescence eyeshadows in the glitter collection have very, very sheer, almost non-existent bases and just have different glitters. This is the one with some base pigment to it, and I really like it. The only caveat for me would be that this kind of formula does dry out relatively quickly. I've had this for a year, I think, maybe a little less than a year, and at this point it is getting pretty difficult to get some color payoff. But I find if I just like dig my nail in and kind of refresh the surface of the pan, then it's totally fine. Future Kate here. As I was editing this video, I realized I forgot two of my favorite eyeshadows, the Bodyography glitter pigments in Celestial and Off the Hook. So I'm gonna apply those right now. I'll first show you a close-up texture shot. The Bodyography glitter pigments are like a cross between the Hourglass Scattered Lights formula and something like the Chanel New Moon eyeshadow, because it's kind of chunky and has a lot of scattered glitter pigments in there, but it's a little bit more smooth than the Hourglass Scattered Lights. I'm gonna start by applying the shade Celestial. Unfortunately, the packaging on this has such a high lip that when I'm wearing press-on nails, it's really hard to get my finger in here. So I can't say I love the packaging, but I'm not wearing press-on nails today, so I'll be able to show you properly. So this is Celestial, and I just tap it. So pretty. You can see that there's like chunks of glitter, but it's not quite as glittery as like the Hourglass Scattered Lights. I did pick up quite a lot on my finger, so I did get a little bit of fallout. Normally that doesn't happen for me. I'm just kind of in a rush here. And then I have the shade Off the Hook, which is much more of a kind of taupey shade, but it's not super cool toned. And here's the close-up of Off the Hook. I haven't blended this yet, but you can see that Bodyography Celestial is much more of like a glitter, whereas Off the Hook, even though it's the same formula, has way less glitter and is much more fine. So Off the Hook is definitely the one I would consider to be more of a one and done shadow. But I wanted to include Celestial because it is one of my favorite eyeshadows, even though it's kind of less of a one and done, but it is still really beautiful. So that one is Off the Hook. Can get a little bit more of that metallic reflection. So this side's Celestial, this side's Off the Hook. Both eyeshadows that I love using on a regular basis, but I think Off the Hook is the winner for me. I also really enjoy the Danessa Myricks Color Fix in Celebration. This formula is super, super pigmented, goes a very long way, and once it sets down, it does not budge. This little baby will definitely last you your entire life. In the packaging, it looks quite brown, but on my eyes, I think it looks very taupey and quite cool toned, because it is this kind of beautiful brown shade, but it has this silver, like very, very fine micro shimmer in there that turns it a little bit more cool toned on me once it's applied. Because it is so pigmented on my skin and a little bit goes a long way, I find that it's not the one that I reach for the most, But if you have darker skin, if you struggle with eyeshadows lasting on you, and if you want a product to go a very, very long way, then this is a fantastic formula. In the application footage, I waited a little bit too long to blend it, so I remember it did look a little bit patchy, but that was my fault. It's not patchy when you apply it ever. I just waited too long for it to blend because I was checking my lighting and like my sound and everything. I just wished Danessa Myricks would come out with more me shades, you know, like I need some like bronzes in there and some more rosy tans and all the things that always set my heart aflutter that are super, super basic, yet I just love them. This is the one from her line that I really enjoy when I want to go for like a cool night out, going to a concert smoky eye. An eyeshadow that is so incredibly user-friendly and just a few bucks is the Rimmel Wonder Cloud shadow. My favorite shade is Honey Drop, which is this beautiful, beautiful kind of sandy orange. It is quite light and quite sheer. So I don't think that the two colors I'm gonna show are gonna work if you have darker skin than I have, but they do have other shades, just not of the same undertone. But the reason I love this is because on me, it's so soft. It's barely there. You know, a couple swipes, I can blend it into the crease and it just looks like I have a wash of a watercolor kind of, you know, orangey beige. The formula is like a soft, smooth, whipped mousse kind of formula, so it's just very, very easy to blend. Just a few bucks from the drugstore. I really hope they still make these because I know at one point they were difficult to find, but I do think you can still get them on the Rimmel website. My second favorite shade is Spiced Petal, which is a beautiful rosy brown shade. On me, it definitely leans a little more rose. Again, quite light, quite sheer, but just for a subtle wash of rose, I think that it's so beautiful. I just wish Rimmel would come out with more colors because if I remember, there were probably only 5 or 6 shades in the line and none of the other ones really interested me. But if you find a color that you like, I highly recommend picking up one of these formulas. Another cream or liquid eyeshadow that just blew me out of the water is the Rare Beauty liquid eyeshadow in Nearly Neutral. I would not say this is neutral. This is quite a warm brown, but it looks absolutely incredible on everyone I've seen apply it. This is also like a whipped mousse kind of formula instead of a liquid eyeshadow. When I think liquid, I think of like the original Kosas 10-second eyeshadows. Instead, it's just kind of this like, you know, whipped mousse cream kind of formula. It's a little bit thinner than the Rimmel ones. This though is significantly more pigmented and sets down and does not budge throughout the day. So if you want something that's long wearing, that's pigmented, but very easy to blend and easy to apply, this is gonna be the one. I just wish that Rare Beauty came out with more shades because all of the colors they launched are like rose, mauve, peach, like not colors I typically think of as eyeshadow colors. So Rare Beauty, if you ever see this, you made a hell of a product. Please launch more shades because this is fantastic. One that doesn't get enough use out of me in my collection is the shade Nearly Mauve. It's just, as the name suggests, a beautiful, beautiful rosy mauve on the eyes. It's really fun. It's not a color I ever would have picked up for myself, but my friend Ashley, who is Restroom Rituals on Instagram, applied it and I thought it looked incredible on her. So I definitely need to reach for this more. Again, it's the same formula as Nearly Neutral. It blends like a dream. It's super pigmented, sets down and doesn't budge. And Rare Beauty is one of the more affordable brands from Sephora, so you can't go wrong. Honestly, my current favorite eyeshadow right now is in a palette, so I wanted to include it. It's the M Cosmetics Da Vinci palette in the shade Renaissance. In the pan, it looks just like a standard, slightly warm taupe, but on the eyes, you get something that's this warm, peachy brown with like a hint of taupe. It's so stunning. I've never seen anything like it. And it's the most beautiful satin finish I've ever seen. It just makes your eyes look a little bit like moisturized. It's just a stunning finish and a stunning color. I've only owned the Da Vinci palette for a few months ever since they launched, and I've already hit pan on this eyeshadow. It's by far my #1 favorite eyeshadow right now. So if you're able to get your hands on this palette or you were considering it and you just weren't sure, this has exceeded all of my expectations. For me, it's worth picking it up for this one shadow because I use it so much. And of course you get a mix of all of these other stunning shadows as well, all of which you could use as one and done eyeshadows. This palette is kind of what I think of as a one and done eyeshadow palette. Aside from the super dark shade, I have used all of these as one and dones. And if you pick up the shade Renaissance and try it, let me know what you think, because I haven't heard a single person talk about this shadow, and it just looks like one of the best things I've ever seen. Another kind of wild card product is the Glossier Monochrome eyeshadow palette in Almond. This is essentially meant to just look like a one and done shadow. All of the shades in the Monochromes palette are the same color with just different finishes. So if you are someone who maybe is interested in a one and done eyeshadow, but you kind of want it to go a little bit of the extra mile, this might be a good option for you. I have a whole review about these palettes because there are inconsistencies in the formula. I hate this bulky, clunky packaging. I hate the fact that this could have fit 4 shadows. They could have put in a glitter topper, they could have put in a cream base, and yet they decided to go with 4. But I digress. You can watch that review if you want to see it. I first applied the satin in this video, and then I remembered that the satin shade does not show up on me at all. That's one of the issues with the inconsistencies. But the metallic shade is beautiful, and it's this gorgeous rosy tan that I love. Very, very similar to L'Oreal's Amber Rush. I just love having the addition of that matte shadow there, so I can really put it under the lower lash line, and I can add a little bit more dimension if I want. So this might be a good option for some people. And one of the monochromes that performs a lot better is the shade Teak. There's a little bit more variation among the shades here, so you still get that kind of one and done look because all of these are the exact same color with just slightly different finishes. So today what I have all over my eyes is just this satin shade. I don't have any of the matte, any of the metallic. I just have the satin all over the lid, the crease, and the lower lash line. And I feel like it looks like I spent a lot more time on my eyeshadow than I really did. So again, if you want that one and done kind of look, but you do want something a little bit more, then the monochromes are a pretty great product to have on hand, even if I do have some issues with the product itself. And lastly, just in talking about how this could work for all different skin tones if you have a different complexion than I have. Take, for example, oh, it just totally crumbled, my ColourPop custom pressed shadow palette. I have so many different matte shades here, and all of these would work as a one and done. So just look at your collection, any kind of powder or cream you have that's a few shades darker than your skin tone, pop that in the lid, blend it in the crease, put it on the lower lash line, and that's an easy one and done. And the same goes for whatever bronzer you have. I love using my Makeup by Mario bronzer in light all over my eyes. Lid, crease, lower lash line. It's this beautiful kind of orangey tan, and while it's a little bit orange for me as a bronzer, looks amazing on the eyes because I do love some orangey shades as an eyeshadow. So just remember, as you're looking at your collection, you can use your bronzer as a one and done, you can use blush as a one and done, and I wonder if I should film a whole video about blushes that look good as eyeshadows. Would you guys be interested in that? Let me know if you want me to try my blush collection on my eyes to see what it looks like. That might be a fun one. And based on my color and texture preferences, please let me know what one and done eyeshadows you think I would like that I haven't tried yet. That's everything for today. If you like this video, it'd mean a lot if you could subscribe, like, and comment on the video to help support my channel. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're okay wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one.